Hello, I'm Mike Mitchell, and welcome to another episode of The Southern Way. Now, chances are you watch Southern Way by high-speed internet, or at least what you think is high-speed internet. I recently had the chance to travel to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where they've taken the idea of high-speed internet to an entirely new level. And along the way, they've laid the foundation and the infrastructure for what they believe they're going to need to compete in the global economy. Take a look.
Pardon me, boy.
Yes, yes.
Is that the Chattanooga choo-choo?
That's the Chattanooga choo-choo.
On track 29. 29.
Uh-huh.
That's on the Tennessee.
When most people think about Chattanooga, they likely think about this, the famous Chattanooga choo-choo, and the song that was inspired by it. But there's more going on in this bustling community that sits on the border between Tennessee and Georgia than meets the eye. You see, for the past several years, Chattanooga has been quietly putting into place a world-class technology infrastructure not found in most American cities. To really appreciate what Chattanooga has done, you need to have a basic understanding of how internet service works in this country and how that compares with internet connectivity in other countries around the world. Now, for years, most Americans connected to the internet using a dial-up connection over a regular phone line. Some of you probably remember what that modem used to sound like. It's kind of like the moose mating call. A lot of Americans still connect via dial-up connection even today, and so downloading a typical music file, for example, for them, might look something like this. Pretty slow. Thankfully, many Americans now have a faster internet connection available to them via a cable modem or through DSL service. And so downloading that same music file would go something more like this. Now, that is faster, and it's faster than dial-up for sure, but it's still far slower than what other countries around the world are able to offer. As you can see, and despite what your internet service provider might be marketing to you, the typical connection speeds in America are still far behind what other countries around the world enjoy. Unless, that is, you're lucky enough to live in Chattanooga. There, thanks to the city and the local power company called EPB, downloading that same music file would look more like this. Wow. Let's look at this in more detail to illustrate. The typical DSL connection can handle data at about 12 megabits per second. A cable modem connection can clock in at about 50 megabits per second. Chattanooga's network? Its slowest speed starts at 50 megabits per second, again, faster than your fast connection, and it can ramp up to an incredible 1,000 megabits per second, a gigabyte service. That's nearly 10 times as fast as what you probably have in your own home right now. But interestingly enough, this ultra-fast, high-speed internet wasn't Chattanooga's original goal. I talked with EPB's Dana Bailey to understand more.
We started out with power, and we realized that we had a great opportunity to make our electric system better. We had a great opportunity to modernize our electric system by building a fiber optic network. So when you build a communications network that allows your electric system to talk to itself and talk to us and talk to our customers, then we can increase reliability by 40%. We can offer tools for customers to manage their power better if they want to. we can achieve some operational efficiencies that we couldn't before. So our original plan was to improve and modernize our electric system. We were building a smart grid.
As EPB continued its work of laying down a fiber network across the community, city leaders began to realize that this new infrastructure might allow them to do things that they hadn't considered before.
Once we have this fiber in place, this sophisticated and very robust fiber optic network, then you can use it not only for the smart grid, but you can also use it to offer ultra high-speed internet, the fastest internet in the country and in the world, to customers here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So we can't think of a better way to give the city a tool and give the community a tool for economic development than to offer that kind of connectivity.
Fast forward a few years. The federal government had just passed the stimulus package and was looking for shovel-ready infrastructure projects to fund. As Chattanooga Mayor Ron Littlefield explains, the city saw an opportunity to accelerate its vision to transform the community.
The stimulus money that was made available was looking for shovel-ready projects that they could put money into and actually show some real progress. We submitted an application for our fiber optic system and received a $111 million grant to do what we were doing, but do it faster. And so all of a sudden, little Chattanooga was going to have one of the largest, fastest fiber optic based data management systems in the world.
Chattanooga's focus on building a state-of-the-art infrastructure for commerce aligns with its historical roots as a river town.
We started as a river city. That was the way commerce was done back then. We were a trading post on the Tennessee River. We became a railhead, and that's why the Chattanooga choo-choo is known all over the world. Then when the interstate system came along, we became a crossroads for great internet highways, including Interstate 75 that goes through Atlanta and goes all the way from Florida up through Michigan. And so now the way commerce is done is going to be by high-speed connections, and we're ready for that as well. And so when I sit down to talk to people from data companies, from technology companies, and they ask me about Chattanooga, I always have to say, first I have to ask you to suspend disbelief, because all those things you think about a small southern city, as one New York City commentator called a little town down south. We are a state-of-the-art city in at least one way, and that is attracting world attention to Chattanooga.
This blazing fast network has already started to attract a new type of business to the city. Technology incubators are popping up to take advantage of internet speeds not found across much of the nation. The Lamppost Group is one such company.
Lamppost is an organization where what we do is we have all sorts of different resources, from financial resources to back office resources, and we try and incubate and start companies from the beginning. So we're all the time talking to people that might have the next big idea and trying to help them get their company off the ground in the best and fastest way that we know how. Fundamentally, what makes it possible is what EPB has done. By stringing this fiber all over town, what they've created as a platform for people like ourselves, and frankly anyone else, there's no monopoly on it, is they've created a network that is orders of magnitude faster than anybody else has.
Chattanooga is about to put this infrastructure to its first real test. The community is organizing a summer intern program where they're going to be inviting the best and the brightest young programmers to come to the city, and then they're going to set them loose to experiment with this high-speed internet service.
The internship program is it's a summer program that's going to be based here in our offices, and Chattanooga has this unique advantage over any other city right now that we have gigabit internet service on our fiber optic network all over the town. And so we can do things across the entire city that most people can only do in a lab environment. So we're going to be inviting kids in from all over the country, from top-notch colleges, MIT, Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, those kind of places, and we're going to be bringing them here to town and be challenging them with what do you do with the world's fastest internet.
What we would love to see would be people who are developing new products, developing new software, developing new applications come to Chattanooga and develop them here. Come to Chattanooga and play on the gigabit that we've got and see what you can do and develop the next cool app.
The city of Chattanooga has ventured into a brave new world, and not even the architects of this infrastructure can predict what it may mean for the community as a whole.
The fact that you now can do business all over the world from a computer, we talked about that for a long time, and now it's actually true.
We want to see quality of life as it relates to good paying jobs, and Chattanooga being a test bed for people to come and develop new technologies is what we'd love to see.
We're expecting applications from everything from medical applications to telepresence applications, and then we're frankly kind of hoping for some off-the-wall type stuff. Some 3D printing, some really crazy sort of holographic telepresence type stuff. Really wanting to push the envelope with this technology, because that's the only way you go forward. If we're just redoing what we already have, that's not going to go anywhere. We want people to come in and say, hey, I've had this idea, I've been working on it for 4 years in college, but I just hadn't been able to get it to work anywhere in the real world. We'll come here and see if it can work here, because if it can work anywhere, it'll work here.
The thing that's exciting to me about where Chattanooga is now with this great fiber optic system that we have is I can't predict. I have no idea. I'm not able. There are younger people, more inventive people that are looking down the road 10 years that'll be able to make use of it. It's a little like discovering fire. We have it. We know what we can do with it now. What we can do with it 10 years from now is something that other people will have to determine.
City leaders have advice for other communities that might be considering deploying this type of infrastructure.
I think now they have to assume that that's going to happen, that the infrastructure, they need to get on this new highway of commerce as quickly as possible. And they need to be thinking, as we're thinking, what's happening 10 years from now?
You can think of the first electricity, the first city that had electricity, they were electrified just for light bulbs, so they could have lights. Well, we all know electricity does a lot more than just lights now. Well, we have that with the internet and the gigabit and everything here. We have that level of an advantage. It's an order of magnitude faster than anything else. Everybody else has cart and buggy, we've got cars.
I think it will be interesting to go back to Chattanooga a few years from now and see what's become of this modern infrastructure that they've put in place. Who knows, maybe in the near future when we think about Chattanooga, we will immediately think about gigabyte internet service and not just a famous choo-choo. Join us again soon for another fascinating exploration of the American South. See you next time.